Nakasone, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ray?
Fantastic.
Good.
Bob Nakasone is a managing director with First Beverage Group. How are you?
I'm doing well.
You enjoying the show?
Absolutely. You guys have gotten so big, you need wristbands and name tags just to get around here. So
Pretty soon we're going to need like headbands and like ankle bracelets. Like, are you supposed to be here? I don't know.
two guys at the red velvet or the red rope treatment. Yeah.
They are keeping an eye on what do they call those, party crashers, whatever this, event crashers, as it were.
It is LA.
Yes. So, Bob, you and I have talked extensively over the past year. You've taken an important role with Purity Organic, which is a brand of organic beverages. Recently came out with a great sparkling water line. It's sparkling water and juice infused. Can you give us sort of an update on the brand and how it's doing?
Yeah, the brand, a bit of a reset year for us, candidly, but I think we launched some great innovation this year. You mentioned the sparkling, and sparkling's off to a good start. It's still pretty early, but we were able to secure early distribution in a couple big Northeast retailers, including Ahold, which was nice. Early results are pretty good there in terms of our velocities there. Multi-pack for us is a new game, so we're kind of learning as we go there, and it's a bit different than the single serve game. And especially different than chilled single serve, where a lot of my background is from. Yeah. But so sparkling off to a good start. We've got a lot of meetings set up between now and call it February next year for additional distribution authorizations in some big retailers. Our DSD partners to date have been good partners in terms of getting us up and down the street. We've had good success in schools, obviously. We've had good success in workplace type environments. We just got into Google headquarters up in Northern California. So some really nice brand building type locations as well, in addition to the big retail.
Nice. And Purity was built as a juice company, and we just had Sama Juice on here, and we were just talking about, certain things are down in terms of consumption, say orange juice and whatnot. Do you see the sparkling water as like the new scale driver for the brand?
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's going to be a big part of our growth over the next 5 years. I also think we're doing some repositioning work within our juice lines that is going to make it more relevant than it is. Again, there's no question the trends that we're battling right now as an industry in juice, not just for Purity Organic. I think Purity's in a pretty good spot for a couple reasons. One is that it is shelf stable, and I think that's actually as much innovation as has been in the chilled space. I think there's reason to believe that we've got an advantaged product for the shelf stable spot, and then just it's not quite as special as it was 12 years ago when Purity launched, that it's organic, but that's still a pretty important decision point for consumers. So that continues to be, while not as big an advantage as it was when we launched, still a pretty big advantage for us.
How's the coconut water business too? Because you guys produce some great coconut water as well.
Yeah, coconut water business is great. It's one of the businesses that continues to grow for us. Yep. We probably haven't put as much focus behind it. I think as you innovate and get into new lines of business, they may or may not be new buyers, additional touch points. It becomes more difficult to really focus. But it's probably a business that in 2018 you'll see us focus on a lot more. We had an important kind of behind-the-scenes change in this year in terms of where we source that coconut water from, and we've got a really great partner called Franklin Baker, who they do a lot within coconut farms over in Southeast Asia, and we have them aboard as a really, really great partner from a supply chain standpoint.
Great. So as I mentioned, you're with First Beverage Group. For our viewers at home who aren't really familiar with First Beverage, can you tell us a little bit about what the firm does?
Yeah, the boring way of describing it probably is that we're a financial services firm. We've got a couple platforms, right? One is an investment bank that is probably best known for all the deals they've done in the craft beer space. Done, I think, 17 or 18 deals over the past 3 years or so, more than any other investment bank of all the big investment banks out there. So they've also done a bunch of deals in the non-alc space as well, going back with Steez, some others, and then of course the investment side, which I joined in January, as people might refer to as a private equity firm, and we started back in 2013 with our first fund. It was really an uncommitted fund. Bill Anderson, our founder, was a bunch of folks that knew Bill and acquaintances of Bill that wanted to rally behind what was going on in the industry, but really leverage his expertise and relationship in the industry to start investing. And then I think you guys covered it pretty well, but we, when I joined in January, it was like basically a sprint to the finish line for our second fund closing at the end of June, and so I got involved in that, and we ended up raising a nice amount of money and are going to start to
fund. How big was the fund right now?
Yeah, I mean, relative to some of the other funds that are kind of consumer focused or even food and beverage focused, it's 64 million.
Yep.
And it's going to allow us to do what we need to do, and it's obviously a huge jump from where we were with our first fund. So,
right.
we've obviously begun to invest out of it already, and continue to see some great things out there in the industry.
First Beverage is invested in Health Aid, obviously in Purity Organic, a few other brands. You guys keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in this industry. In terms of emerging categories, what are you guys looking at? What are you most interested in?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the way we look at things, we do like to look at, categories kind of top down, but kind of start from the bottom and work our way back up. We think that really helps us narrow the focus. We're looking at everything from, syndicated scan data to more qualitative data that's out there and available to us. Probably secondarily, but also important, is how a lot of these categories might tie back to more broader macro consumer trends that aren't necessarily specific to beverage, but play out in them, whether that's personalization or proactive management of health. Right. We obviously, being a private equity firm, we look at the exit as well, and what kind of potential there is there, and even within the category itself, it's like, hey, how at what growth rate is it going to grow over the next 3 to 5 years? How big is it going to get? Does that fit with the type of business we're looking for? And we're not for everyone, right? I mean, we have a pretty diverse team that brings a lot to the table, but that doesn't mean that we're the right partner for everyone. And so we also absolutely look at whether or not how much can we help the company, because we do like to be active in our investments. We like to be helpful, and if we don't feel like we can help to the extent that it's going to be value added for the potential investment, that's going to weigh in our decision as well.
All right. Can I throw a curveball?
Go for it.
All right. First Beverage Group was an investor in Juicero.
Yes.
Juicero is the cold pressing, countertop cold press juicing machine. And a really interesting platform, really innovative technology. Unfortunately, had to shut down earlier this year. What did you think about that as an investor? What went wrong?
Yeah, and I think I heard someone this morning, whether it was Dave Burke or something, talk about circumstances changing. Maybe it was actually Jeff in his opening comments talking about situational changes, right? And I think it's a good example of that. And off the heels of really what I just said too, it's for us, that was, even for us, out of a fund that was relatively small, it was a pretty small investment, and so we didn't have a huge impact, nor did we necessarily have the team to have an impact. We ended up helping out there a bit more than we thought we would, just because we were the only truly beverage CPG type focused investors behind it. So we ended up being more involved at the request of Jeff Dunn and
right.
and the whole team up there. But you live, you learn, right? And that was one that I think when it came out, it got very inflated technology type valuation attached to it, and with that comes a lot of additional eyes and scrutiny, and I think it played out along those lines.
Yeah, there's 700 folks here. Feels like the nerve center of the beverage industry, at least innovation in the beverage industry. What's your feeling on the health of this space, and are you really excited for innovation-wise? You're really excited finance-wise? I mean, what are you seeing as the biggest opportunity for First Beverage and for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's thriving. I still think we're on the front end of this, small craft, healthier, higher quality, all of the buzzwords that they've thrown out there. And so, obviously, when I was making a career decision back in, late December, or late 2016, as Kavita was exiting, right. I thought about all those questions and what am I excited about? And it's the excitement is around the innovation that continues to come, the ability for beverage specifically to continue to find new channels of business and expand in existing channels of business as well. And I think all of those trends are still there. I don't think there's any big macro trends that even come close to outweighing all the right. positives that are out there. So it's still a very investable space. And even from First Beverage, private equity firm standpoint, we see more and more money coming into the space as well. And so that's a pretty good sign, right?
Yeah, outstanding. Yeah. Bob, thank you so much for being with me. Really appreciate the time. Let's stay in touch.
Great being here. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you so much. That was Bob Nakasone.